or whatever you call those people who play Frisbee.
Yeah.
And he's like a real character.
Yes, he was for sure the mascot and totally on point. I mean, you'd sit down and have a chat with him and be refreshed, you know.
Yeah.
Get the rally back in you. But a good friend of mine, Will, had been kind of apprenticing under Chuck for a few years, and he just like really saw the vision of True Ames. I mean, Chuck's been doing it for 40 years now, you know. It's pretty impressive. And so I think it was cool for Chuck to have a little bit of youth underneath him and kind of giving him some inspiration to really, you know, keep kicking and moving the business forward. And so,
how old is Chuck, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh my
roughly,
goodness!
If you had to guess,
Chuck's in his early 60s.
Okay, all right, he's still fairly young. It's not like my dad's 78 and he still drives to work like 6 days a week. So
impressive. Yeah.
But yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know. We talked, it was a long process. We talked about it for a long time, and I just really got on board. Like, I just had thrown in the towel on working in the surf industry.
Really?
I was stoked on being just like kind of a desk guy in surfing, you know. I had really just been on that trajectory. I mean, I guess at that point I had actually won that Noosa event for the duct tape and stuff. So I had kind of had this,
resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from
on the scene.
Yeah, in a way. But I just didn't think that I was going to work in the industry, and this was different than maybe what I had turned my head toward. You know, I was like, this is really core.
Yeah. Like
what Chuck and True Ames have built is just. Yeah, he's worked with
serious core.
George Grano calls once a week.
No way.
Yeah, is Chuck about? You know, I mean, it's
Get
real.
Get the fuck out. Seriously?
He does.
Will he entertain talking to you, or is he just like, I only talk to Chuck?
I got the chance actually this January to go on a little mission down to Lennox Head and did a little matting with him. And
no way.
He knows my name now, but
that's cool. That's huge.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we kind of just are like, George calls Chuck. It's this very consistent thing. He has his time.
Where's his check? Where's his royalty checks for his fins? Is that what he's calling about?
Surprisingly, no. He's actually like he donates all of the royalties to some charities over there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he hasn't had much need for the money.
He inherited all of it, you know?
So he's just having fun tinkering. But like, yeah, I mean, we introduced the Power Blade fin this year, and that was full on organic. George sending, you know, the super epic version that he made somewhere around his house. And we started kind of, you know, and then it becomes that back and forth sort of R&D thing where we try to turn it into something really producible and refine it. But yeah, it's still happening. I mean, George is going for it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that
is so unreal. So so why weren't you enthusiastic about working in surf, or were you like, I'm fine with just surfing on the side and having my day job? Was that due to just be dealings in the industry, fear of making surf your work, and like stressing about it? Like, because I've dealt with this similar thing, so I know kind of what you might have felt.
Right.
I'm kind of curious, like, where you were coming from with that.
Yeah, I guess just a lot of it was, even at that time and what I grew up through was big surf industry.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle worked for Billabong. My uncle's kind of a legend. He's like he surfed on tour in the 80s.
Which is your uncle?
Gary Clisby.
Get the front. No way. Sunriders.
Yes.
I am a soldier of the Lord's army.
That's it.
Freaking, and like car accident
yes.
in like 84, 85
yes.
and like almost ruined his career.
Totally. Yeah. And he came out of it and freaking made it on tour, and still one of the best surfers I know. And
great segment on Journey to the Impact Zone. Loved his surfing.
Yeah. No,
and filthy habits too.
Totally. Yeah. It was really fun. It was actually weird because I grew up super into mainstream sports. Like football, to this day, my favorite sport.
Damn.
If I had been some big dude, like I would have 100% been playing football, right? But Gary was like a big influence on that whole surf thing. Like my cousin Christian and I are the same age, and he would totally, take a snowboarding, take a surfing,
wow.
and it was kind of that thing. But I guess that was like there was a little bit of exposure to Billabong, Quicksilver, Hurley, Rip Curl, and I don't know.
We grew up in the golden age of the surf industry,
totally.
Where money was, like they're rolling joints with dollar bills, like it's like amazing.
Yes, totally. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like I felt like if I was going to work for a business, I wanted to like learn from more of a serious thing or something.
Yeah.
I think I was probably just a little bit naive and didn't really get it, but I don't know. I didn't care to pursue that. I mean, I wasn't a shortboarder, I guess. Like there's just I think there's probably a lot of variables that went into it, but yeah.
Damn. So that's really interesting. And then it just pulled you back in. You tried to escape, and it just like Chuck was calling, the sweet siren of Chuck calling you back into the surf world, huh?
Yeah, totally. I think and that journey too from, I mean, I guess I shortboarded more than I longboarded, so I should probably pull back on that and say that I did for sure shortboard. I loved surfing lowers, my favorite wave in the world.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. But yeah, Chuck, I think I just had come to the place where I was like, I was riding logs now for quite a while. And I did that without like contests or anything. It was my, I just had kind of moved into a place where I was like, I am now a surfer. I love surfing for what it is. I'm not doing it competitively.
Yeah.
And really like, because I was like basketball, football, baseball every year and even until high school. And so I really surfed in a lot of ways, like as a sport.
Yeah.
I was very competitive about it. And so
are you still competitive about it?
Well, I'm struggling with that again a little bit, right? Like Devin is sucking me back into the vortex of surfing.
You're like, I thought I had it under control.
Totally.
Your wife is like, you've changed.
Totally. No, in Noosa, I had a moment where I was pretty bummed that I lost. And up until that point, it had all been duct tapes where I actually had done pretty well. I'd made most finals, so I was like really stoked. And that whole thing is so much more like you won because you got invited.
Yeah.
And Vans totally makes it this incredible experience, and you're just stoked to be there. Everyone's smiling. You're sharing waves. It's not the same thing as like NSSA Nationals.
Yeah. Cutthroat. Where you just go up to your competitor and be like, I'm going to eat you alive type of thing. Stare him down, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. I think like in the end we're surfers, and so maybe it was that cutthroat.
Yeah, NSSA at Trestles? Come on. Yeah. I remember seeing like Bobby Martinez and Timmy Reyes like go at it. Come on.
Yeah, it was.
And then you got the soccer parents, the surf parents, on the beach.
Gosh, we could have an entire 3-hour podcast on that.
Oh, really?
It's incredible.
Maybe when I come out to Cali, we can do that.
There you go.
We'll try to get some traumatized grown-ups who grew up with soccer parents on the in the surf scene.
Yeah, there were some parents who were fired up for sure, but yeah, I mean, so I think that I had left that competitive thing though behind, and that was really refreshing. Like working at Patagonia and going surfing, I was going surfing because I wanted that release. I wanted to go and enjoy the ocean, and it was really huge for me. I met Ryan Lovelace. I started getting boards from Wayne Rich. I just was like fully experienced. Mason Dyer had been making all of my boards. So there was like a lot of really cool people influencing the boards I was riding, and I just was on a whole new trip. And so, yeah, I think that at that point I learned the history too of all of those things.
Yeah.
And I was more comfortable with True Ames because I was like, this is not mainstream surf industry. This is like we still manufacture fins. We've been working with Reniators since like forever, you know? I mean, it just felt really good.
Well, I would say like you're not, by working at True Ames, it's like you're not selling out in some ways. By going to Quicksilver or Billabong, in some ways it seems now like selling out to me or there's a dichotomy in the surf industry. It appears to me, I've been outside it now for about 5 years, but it looks like you have your core companies that are like True Ames, Birdwells, people who make boards, the glassing factories. Like these are the unsung heroes, the not so glamorous ones that, but are the most stable companies in many ways. They didn't overreach and overgrow. They've always kept it small, minimal, lean, and always just chugged along at a nice, consistent pace without blowing up. And then you have like your more sellout kind of, I guess would be like your pop bands like Billabong, Quick, all of them, which just overgrabbed, overreached, overextended, and, just wanted surfing to be everywhere. Whereas there's like this niche group that is more concerned with just keeping the stoke and the happiness and just keeping that lifestyle more, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. And I think there's probably a crazy conversation within that of selling surfing, and you read, Warsaw's Sunday email. And
I love those.
They're so good.
Sunday joint.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the Monday joint though too.
And I think like, a lot of the time it's like within that you're seeing just the battle of surfing becoming an industry and
the soul.
Totally.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
You guys make surfing, they sell surfing. That's how I would kind of posit it maybe.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like that vibe. I mean, and that's I guess maybe that's a way to say how I felt or was able to divide like, oh, this isn't selling surfing, this is making surfing.
Yeah.
We're legitimately working with all of these shapers and people and making fins for surfboards so people go and enjoy it,
Totally. No, I think it's cool, and it's awesome that you're at True Ames, and it must be like so much fun. Like I imagine when you got there, it was like, holy shit, there's so much we can do here.
Totally.
And it's like probably overwhelming, I imagine.
Yeah, and it still is today, I mean, because what's so cool, and even in the parallel from True Ames to Patagonia, was like the product has sold itself.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of marketing. I mean, maybe, if you've followed True Ames for a while, you'd have seen in the last few years, we've done a few things. We've kind of like, our Instagram has 14,000 followers now or something, right?
Nice.
Which it didn't even exist 3 years ago or something. So it's like, there's things like that are happening, but we're trying to be really careful about it. Cause like you said, we want to keep growing slowly. We want to continue to be debt free. We want to just like make it happen as it should. And that's hard, but it's cool because I think it's what will keep us core and keep honoring the past. Like, I think part of it is now, a lot of the names that are in our catalog, they've either passed away, guys like Velzy, or people who are kind of near the end of their tenure or who have retired from shaping or whatever. And so we kind of have almost this responsibility moving forward to like maintain that history and keep it going.
How are you preparing for like the sharing economy? You have like sites like Fanatics out there, and I'm sure it's not too far off from like FCS or Future kind of creating something of their own version of that. Is that something you're thinking about and contemplating, and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, like, it's funny because when I first got to True Ames, Fanatic came up, and I think we had just sort of decided, like, we're just not really sure what that is, and does it fit the brand? Like, does it kind of fit who we are?
Yeah.
And I saw that come up again on a Surfer Magazine article, and so I was stoked to see that. Like, I think the subscription thing could probably work. I don't know if it needs to be exclusive to us or if it can be within a Fanatic thing, but I do really dig that. I think there's something there, as far as people having a quiver of fins. I mean, I think within fins, there's also this challenge of like, does